So Coach Harris, Coach Lynn, so how do y'all go with the culture shift with hiring younger coaches now?
Well, for me, man, I was lucky this year to keep, everybody. I'm still looking for one coach, but I think it's really, asking those guys, what they want.
Mm-hmm.
I think the shift is, it used to be what the head coaches wanted, but hey, what do you guys want? I think giving them a say-so in everything that we're doing, that was one thing I loved about working for Coach Lynn. He was kind of ahead of the times. That, what do you guys want? Hey, let's get out of here. On Saturdays, we're not doing anything for the next week. You guys get this stuff done. Go home. You can do your stuff at home. So, and Sunday, it wasn't long. So I kind of take the same model as Coach Lynn. We don't stay here all day. We're there for 4 hours and go home. And a lot of it's meeting and talking and planning out the week. They do the majority of their work at home, and then they just put it together when they come to school, and then we're ready to go on Monday. So that shift, and it is different, man. I've lost coaches and guys that left, but it's different for me, man. I got the old school wife that told me, you better not get a PE cert. You won't be here. But if it's your dream and it's your passion, and she know how much I love kids and love ball and love what it's done for me and it does for kids, that she just says, go do it. And I'm fortunate and I'm lucky. So she just, I don't know, man. It's a little different for me because I think, we tell the kids to tough it out. So we need to tough it out.
No doubt. When you're dealing with the young coach, I think you have to paint the picture for them about what are they actually getting. Because once upon a time, I was a third-year head coach. Seemed like last year, going on 27 this year. So, you have to begin to start mining and thinking about your future. I wouldn't take a job just for money, and I might not tell my wife. But, if you're looking to grow in this profession, there are some certain tools that you need to have in your bag in order to be successful. Mm-hmm. So you want to align yourself with successful people. You want to align yourself with the right supervision and coaches. You want to align yourself in the right school systems that run schools right. So whenever you get an opportunity, you've seen how to do some things. I saw some things at Wilma Hutchins when I started that I would use. I saw some things, the first time around at Cedar Hill, and I went to Seguin. I saw some things. So, you have to begin to start kind of building your the environment that you want to have as a young coach. So that's what I would try to get a young coach to look at. Okay, where are you going? Where are you trying to go? And and if a coach don't know where they're trying to go, then he ain't gonna be on part of my staff. I need to have somebody that needs to know. I don't want to be a head coach. I just want to be a coordinator. I respect that. I want to be an athletic director. Well, then, those are the people that I feel like I can help the most. Is the ones that are ambitious, the ones that want to grow, the ones that want to do other things and big things in the game. And those are the people that I kind of lend myself to.
And you talked about, the tool belt, being able to go into different positions. So with that, the I-20 Coaches Clinic, state champion experience, you've been there, you've done that. First year head coach, Coach Harris, you've had playoff success. Coach Criss recently retired. What's one thing that at the Coaches Clinic that you can give someone advice about that you didn't necessarily get on your journey to be a head coach?
Well, I'll go first. It's that, and we talked about in the clinic, is get a mentor. Mm-hmm. Have a mentor. When I started out, I went about on my own because I worked with my dad, so it was my dad ever, so that's a natural choice. But then it was like I would always listen to my father and the other coaches, and we go around the coaches' school and coaches' clinic and make sure that I followed him and I spoke to people and I built a network. Well, it was a unique situation. At one time, I looked at my career. There was nobody in front of me and there was nobody behind me. What I mean by that, like you going to school, you say, okay, I graduated in 81, so I know all the people in 78, 79, 80, of course 81, and I also know the people in 82, 83, and 84. Mm. And I looked around, there was nobody coaching from 79 on or anybody from 84. So I was in this really unique vacuum with me by myself. Either they were way older or they were way younger. And so I started reaching out to the older coaches, developing phone calls, well, no text back then. So I had Coach Jones, who was at Kimball, And he used to call me 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would listen. And then Coach Alan Wilson, who was at John Tyler, would call me, and I would listen. I never thought that I knew it all, even though at the beginning I did thought, I was like, I know it all. I'm this brash coach. Hey, I'm 26-8. Hey, I got this high winning percentage. What can anybody tell me? So this thing I talk about now is grabbing a mentor and having the ability to be mentored. And I think that's the one thing that I've tried to share with the coaches inside the clinic is, and I think that's a big deal, is, hey, don't be afraid to have a mentor.
For me, I think it's take on more responsibilities, whatever your head coach has for you. Take on more responsibilities. Be in his pocket. I went to every clinic right behind these two guys, stayed as late as I needed to, but I wanted to, whatever Coach Lynn gave me or whatever, even, Coach Criss, you need to do it, I'm doing it. And then I want to do more. I love the profession. I love what this game did for me. It changed my life. I was one of those guys that I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for this great game. It wasn't for athletics. It wasn't for the school system. So just do more, man. If it's something that needs to be done, go do it, and then build a relationship with everybody, because it's going to take everybody if you're trying to be a head coach or athletic coordinator or athletic director.
We talked about just the nuances of being a head coach. And it just almost depends on where you go. Winning may or may not necessarily be the most important thing.
Okay.
I'm blessed to be at Cedar Hill High School. We're gonna have some great athletes to walk through that door, but some places you're not gonna win. I don't care what I don't care what happened. You're not gonna win. You don't have the resources, nor the Jimmys and the Joes, nor the young men in your school to win. Mm-hmm. So your definition of success may have to be a little bit different. So if you've never been in a program that was a giving program that promoted kids, you're going to struggle, because now you are, like Coach Criss was talking about, you are a real extension of the community. I tell people all the time that football is the best after-school program in America. Mm-hmm. For free.
For free.
You get the kids, and you have to be organized. You have to know, John and Ray, and you got to know them. You got to know what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
And as a head coach, you're not taught that. Mm-mm. You're not taught how to, go run a FCA, because that's the only church some of your kids gonna ever get.
Okay.
Those are things. Now you're becoming a branch of the community. You're not just a football team. Leadership training kids to be leaders, and training kids to make sure that they're making the right kinds of decisions, not just exiting old decisions, but the right decisions out in that classroom, the right decisions in the community, even the right decisions at home. We have made phone calls to the house, and we've gotten more respect by what we say do than some of the kids' parents. Their parents call us and say, "Coach, can you talk to Run about?" Mama done called me, Run. Guess what you gonna be doing? Run. You're gonna be running.
That's right.
I'm pulling up. Pulling up at your house.
Exactly. Those are things, and most people don't really want to deal with that. They want to go to work and go home. But some of these kids, we feed kids.
Yeah.
We feed our kids twice a day. When they get to workouts in the summer, we feed them breakfast. When they leave, we feed them lunch. Some of them, that's it. That's all they're gonna get. That's all they're gonna get. So when you're dealing with that, I said it just depends on where you go. Some people got mom and dad. They got a seven-figure income. They ain't worrying about eating at night. They ain't worrying about some of those things. So you have to make sure that you understand the community that you're serving, and I think that goes unnoticed and under the radar as well.
So right now in the DFW, a lot of black coaches getting opportunities in places that they may not have had those opportunities 10, 15 years ago. It makes me think, is it now black coaches are actually getting the opportunity by the powers that be, they're opening the door, or is it a situation where there weren't enough qualified black coaches, which I know is ridiculous, but I know that's false, but I just wanted to throw that out there because sadly in our community, there is that factor of, I may listen to another type of person versus my own type of person. And sadly, in 2022, that still exists. So that's the only reason I throw it out there. And why do you think it's taking so long for this plethora of black coaches to get opportunity in some of these suburbs where it would not have happened 10, 15 years ago?
My point of view is some of the leadership has changed. And nothing against old school administrators, but they knew what they knew. They knew the people that they were going to hire. We live in such a eclectic society now. Now, some of these new administrators, they can open up their phone and they actually have some African Americans friends in their phone.
Not associates.
Not
friends.
associates, but friends, people that they actually know and communicate with.
Yeah.
This business has always been who knows you business. So when your circle of influence don't have a lot of African American or black people in it, then naturally you're not going to give them that job. You're going to give the people that you know the opportunity. The second part for me is we have been forced to be ready when the opportunity comes. And that has shook up the world because honestly, sometimes there is minimal expectation from us that we can only coach, African American kids, or we can only coach this kind of kid. And so now our coaches have always been on state championship team. You go back and look at any state championship team. It's been some of our coaches that does a lot of the heavy lifting. Now they're ready for their opportunities. We have built up such a network and respect, regardless of ethnicity and gender and things of that nature, that have allowed those doors to be open more readily, and these guys may have something.
What's happening now in the suburbs is the people that's making the decisions are listening to the community too, and the communities has they're wanting those kids to have some minorities in front of them. I purposely hired a diverse staff: white, black, Asian, Hispanic, whatever, because I want to put different types of people in front of our kids. So I think the community is like, with all the stuff that's going on in the world and all the stuff that's happening, I think a lot of times now those parents are saying, well, man, I want you to coach my kid because you understand my kid. And then the community is asking for somebody that understands my kid. Not that saying that somebody white would not, but it's a lot easier when you're in those shoes and you're an African American and you're dealing with some African American kids in the suburbs. So I think the communities, they're okay with it now. I know when I first got into coaching, a lot of people in our communities did not want their kids coached by an African American community.
Sadly, to this day, some folks that have that thinking.
Now today, I hear a lot from the community saying, well, you guys can do it. You guys do a good job, and the exposure that, Coach Lynn and Coach Criss and Coach Samples and, Coach Todd and all those guys winning, right, and doing it the right way. I think people are saying, well, why not? Why not give those guys a chance?
I think a lot of things that has happened is that, well, the credit goes to way back to when they first started having African-American coaches being entrusted to programs that we didn't think we'd ever had a shot at. I can speak to my experience when I left O.D. White High School, where I was very comfortable working with my brother, my dad, the family, and in terms of the community. My dad pushed me to go to Bowie. He said, you are built for that. And just for the opportunity when people reached out to say, okay, I want you to apply for this. I applied for Birdville also, then to be able to go to Arlington and be the first African-American coach. Well, my father also instilled in me that this is more than about winning games. It's about how you go about doing your business. He said, this is bigger than you. He said, because Anthony Davis, the job that you do is going to entail if someone else gets a job. And so I took that on by saying, okay, yeah, I wanted to win, but it was about how I went about the business. So didn't win much on the field, but I won a lot in the community. And what I mean by that was that, okay, we didn't win games on the field, but kids got scholarships.
Right.
Kids graduated. Coaches got other jobs. And then when it came time, when Coach Lynn came to Arlington, it was able to that because now there was no more fear of having an African-American coach. So Coach Lynn, then he comes in, and then across the board, you see across the way where Coach Samples is able to go. Coach Mathis is able to get a job. Okay, then Coach Gilbert comes in. After Coach Jackson, Andrew Jackson comes from that. Well, those jobs were held by Anglo people. And then those guys were able to come in and do great things. And the thing that I always looked about and I always told, Coach Lynn knows, he used to get like the Coach Criss everyday lesson of, this is about this, and that. This is not about you. I know you want to win, and you're going to win. But, Coach, you have to go about this job in this certain manner. So he created a culture. See, he was more than a football coach. So a lot of people don't know that. He won't say it today, but like Cougar Nation, Seguin Rock, Cougar Rock, all that's Coach Lynn. Because it was about branding. It was about, then when he left there, it was like, oh, okay. So the thing that I enjoyed the most is I can go out to a restaurant. Where'd you go to high school? Oh, I went to Cedar Hill. Oh, do you know Coach Lynn? I said, when did you graduate? Oh, 2001. One of my greatest teachers. One of my guys. Oh, Seguin. Oh, yeah, because he wasn't teaching then. Now, Coach. Oh, Coach Lynn, great guy. Well, when I started talking to these waitresses and waiters, he didn't coach them. It was about being involved in the community, in the school. And I think what started happening is that people started recognizing that, wait a minute, he can be the face of the franchise. Because I tell you right now, people know the name of the principal. They don't know the face of the principal. Everybody knows who the football coach was.
Yeah.
Then the ability to be able to go on television and to have positive stories and then be able to present yourself well on television. Then it started like knowing different things like this, who you are. Coach Lynn's been with me at places and people have spoken to me and I was like, wow, I didn't even know they knew who I was. I said, can you believe he spoke to me? And the same thing with Coach Lynn. So what happened is through time, us sticking with it, everybody understanding what they needed to do, that it was bigger than themselves. So now it has allowed to say, okay, well, I can go to Carlos Lynn. I want somebody off his staff because I figured that's the model. So I can get a Demarcus Harris to go into Mesquite and be able to turn a program immediately. When I say a program, I don't mean the playoffs. Everybody talk about the playoffs that Coach Harris went to. I know he was going to do that. I told him that when I went and talked to his staff. That was, if you knew.
You saw it was going to happen.
Yeah, I know. But the thing what they don't know is that when they were talking in the barbershops about it, they was talking about at Griff's Hamburgers about it. They was talking about him in the different places, in the beauty shop. They started talking after church, they talking about Coach Harris. And then seeing him, and I talked to him at a 707, I talked to the parents, they were like, oh, Coach, we've been waiting on this a long time. So not only did somebody come in and fit the bill, but they did the job. And that's the thing about it, being able to do the job. And now we can do the job. So now Antonio Wiley at Coppell.
Yes.
Some things that we're thinking about, oh, that's never going to happen.
Right.
Marcus Shavers at McKinney. These things, Kendrick Brown going to Little Lamb. Yeah. It was just those type of deals we got. Coach at McKinney Boyd. It's things that's happening now. Coach Golden at Wiley East. There's things that are happening now that we used to say, don't even apply for your job because they're not even going to look at your paper. Well, now it's finally we have lived to see the day that we don't say, don't apply for the job or you're not going to get that job. Now everything is possible. So now young coaches are coming up with the admiration that, you know what, we can get the job. We've gone from 51 head coaches to 183 head coaches in the state of Texas.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, now, like I can go to Coach Harris, who are you getting ready? Coach Lynn, who's the next one? Now, Coach Lynn, you got to learn how to deal with this because what? Because what's happening now is that you can't keep a coach. It used to be you have to win a state championship or no, you have to be a coordinator. No, I want a part of his staff. Somebody off the Lynn coaching tree. So now they getting jobs because now what we're doing now, we're teaching you how to interview. We're teaching you what a resume should look like. We're teaching that you can't have 39 different fonts on your resume. We're teaching you to be clean, how to line up, got to be order, have your certification on your resume. Let's talk about where you from. So now we become more prepared to go to the interview process. We use a term in coaching, getting you to the table. So now we have these young guys that we can get to the table. And once they get to the table, they're not disappointing. And that's the thing that we couldn't do before. We couldn't get to the table. So now we get them to the table, and now they're being equipped to be successful. And that's the thing that we're seeing now is that there used to be a terminology, well, that's a black man job. Well, now we're starting to see, well, oh, you're not going to get another job. Or I used to use the term career assassination. Do not take that job because your career is going to be assassinated. Don't go over there. Do not take that job. Well, coach, I want to be a head coach. Well, you're going to be a head coach for about 30 games. That's all it's going to be. You're going to be 3-27, and you're going to be somebody's long-term assistant for the rest of the way. And so what we're trying to do, because we need success. And so what we try to do is to build that up. Everybody can't win, but everybody can be successful. So I can go and I can gauge, okay, if you 0-45, that school you took over 0-45, if you go and win 1 game, win 2 games, win 3 games, win 4 games, show improvement. Define what your success is. And so those are the things I think that's helped coaches now is that they look at other people. And what we're doing now, we've also taught them to talk to one another. Every last one of these guys are going to embrace a coach. Yeah. That's my pet peeve. They'll tell you, that's a whole nother 97 hours on that. But being able to embrace a coach. So now we go out to clinics. Coach Harris, hey, man, take my number. Coach Lynn, don't leave here without 4 or 5 different numbers that you didn't have. Everybody can have my number. That's what Coach Lynn is saying. I'm saying, don't take my number no more. I'm through. I got enough numbers. Yeah. But, those are the things that we've talked about now where people didn't have access. They felt like they couldn't talk to a Carlos Lynn. I go out my way. I still practice my deal. Coach Lynn, come here. I need you to meet somebody. This is Coach Lynn. You need to know who he is. This is Coach Demarcus Harris at Mesquite. You need to know who he is. Coach, you need to know who this young guy is because he's up and coming. Well, now we used to be like across the room like, is that Carlos Lynn? Is that Demarcus Harris? Wouldn't even go speak to him. But now it's like we can build that up across the state. That's what we're doing across sports because now the phone is, hey, coach, I need a volleyball coach. Coach, I need a softball coach. Coach, I need a girls soccer coach. Coach, well, now we reaching out for the help. Before we just like, okay, let me go look at the applications. Let me go through here. I can't find anybody. Now we're using our network. Now we're using what we built to try to make sure that because what I want everybody to be is a successful head football coach, but more often than not, you're also the athletic coordinator at the school too. It's very, very, very rare that you're the head football coach and you have no more responsibilities in that school. And so that's the things that we've been trying to build.